So Spright got some new staple cards in the new selection pack, Climax of Showdown, and in this video on the rank ladder, we're going to be taking a look at using those cards in this duel. So this opening hand is pretty good. We are going first. We normal summon Carrot so that we can enable the Jet to get started, and Jet Search is one of the new cards in Double Cross. We'll go over this card in just a second, but for now we're going to continue to extend, going into blue. Not afraid of Nibiru at this point since we do have red on field as well. But the first thing we go into now instead of Gigantic is going to be the second new card in Spright SPRIND. So with SPRIND in the extra deck, this is going to enable you to play the Nimble Angler package once again, because this is an easy way to consistently send Nimble Angler, which will trigger being sent from the deck to summon 2 beavers on field. This gives you a free extension. This is 2 Xyz materials on field, 2 Link materials on field, whatever you want to use it for. But now that SPRIND has served its purpose in sending the Angler, we can now use it as Xyz overlay material for the Gigantic, which will allow the Gigantic to have 3200 attack, but more importantly, it allows us to keep an important body on board. Since our field is now stacked, we've still got the 2 interruptions, but with the Gigantic, we detach Beaver, keeping the SPRIND attached so we keep that attack boost, and we bring out the Swap Frog. Now, normally you go Swap Frog, dump the Ronin Totem, but this time we're actually going to dump the Testudo Irat Newman. This is a new card that you play in Spright. It is a Floodgate. It is a level 1, so you can't special summon it the turn that you activate Gigantic and Spright Starter, but we're not attempting to summon this right now. We just want to dump it into the graveyard off of the Swap Frog, and this card says neither player can special summon monsters with 1800 or more attack, and notice that it has 1800 defense. So what is this going to enable? Well, you'll see in just a second. So after we do that, we're going to then trigger Swap Frog to bring back the Carrot, just so that we can special summon it in defense mode. But first, we're going to then link off into Elf. Now, with Elf, you definitely want to keep the zones that it points to open. I like to put Carrot under one zone to prevent it being targeted by like Book of Moon or something to flip it face down, which means my field is now susceptible to things like Raigeki and evenly matched. So I like to make this untargetable. The only thing that really outs this, I think, is like, I don't know if Forbidden Droplet targets actually, I don't think it does, but maybe Forbidden Droplet and like Dark Ruler No More will beat the Carrot. That's about it, right? Or I guess Super Poly, because that doesn't target either. Regardless, this is a safe place to put one of your targets for Elf, where like the zones that it points to. The second one you want to keep open. So we're going to then go back and use Elf to bring back Swap Frog, and now we're going to go ahead and dump the Ronin Totem. Of course, it's not usable right now since there's nothing to banish to bring the Toad back, but we're going to set our Double Cross and pass turn. Now, this field has a Spell and Trap negate, a Monster negate. We can trigger, tribute the Gigantic if we need to destroy whatever's activated in terms of monsters or spells and traps, or we can just simply tribute off the Swap Frog. Not a problem. We've got Ash as an interruption because Spright can still play a lot of hand traps. If we were interrupted during our opponent's turn, we would likely triple Tactics Talent for the Forceful Sentry effect, returning a card in their hand to their deck, also seeing what they're on, because yeah, if they had an interruption, they're on 60 cards, probably some kind of grass deck, so we definitely want to stop that if possible. But the main thing that we're going to do during the opponent's turn is use this Double Cross. Now, normally you want to wait and see what the opponent is doing before you Double Cross right away, but we're going to do it right away just to show you how powerful this card is. So this card says target 1 monster on the field or in either player's graveyard, then you just activate one of these effects. If you have a rank 2 monster on field in terms of an Xyz monster or a link 2 monster, you can trigger off these effects. So attach the targeted monster to one rank 2 monster you control as material. So they put a big body on board. As long as I can target it, I can attach it straight off to the Gigantic Spright. So think Floowandereeze, putting Empin on board, big Floodgate monster, very powerful. Well, Double Cross easily deals with that. Target the Empin, bring it to the Gigantic Spright, and now it's off the field. Or even better, I can place that targeted monster that the opponent controls to a zone that my link monster points to, my link 2 monster. So I just take the Empin, put it into the zone that the Elf points to. That's why you wanted to keep this zone open. Or I can take the monster from the graveyard and special summon it to the zone that a link 2 monster points to. So what are we going to do? Of course, we are going to right away activate that Double Cross, target that Testudo level 1 monster, that's a Floodgate, and special summon it to the Elf position. This is going to prevent the opponent from special summoning anything with over 1800 attack, and this thing does have 1800 defense, so, you know, both players, that is, right? So it's a pretty hard thing to overcome unless the opponent has spell and trap monster removal. They're likely not going to be beating over it. They're not going to be outing it with monster effects most likely, because most decks need to put big bodies on board to trigger off very powerful effects. So the opponent is actually able to play under this, which is surprising. But again, it doesn't matter what you play under, because you're under a floodgate, you are under multiple interruptions in the red and the carrot being on board. You have to deal with hand traps with, we already used the ash. The opponent surprisingly is able to still conjure up something, but what are you really going to do with all these weak monsters on board? Nothing, because the Testudo kind of locks you down, and we still have triple tactics. If they do attempt to play or do anything during our turn, we are going to stop them. So the opponent is attempting to do something, but they realize there's nothing they can do, and they just scoop it up. So you can see how powerful Spright can be now with this version. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at some interesting Spright builds using the Bystial monsters, as well as how this deck list with the Newman shapes up. So let's get into that now. Alright, so let's jump straight into the deck list. The first thing we're going to review is the Bystial Melffy Spright. So again, Spright is so versatile because its level 2 engine can utilize a lot of other supplemental engines. We're still playing the Swap Frog engine with Ronin Totem. No Testudo in this version, because if you're playing Bystials, obviously you can't summon these under the Testudo because they have more than 1800 attack. So you don't want to play both of those cards if you are going the Bystial route. Now, Maxi is still pretty standard. You are running the Nimble Angler package because, again, SPRIND being in the game just enables this easy, free extension. The Melffy cards are still worth playing. It's 2 main deck spots and 1 to 3 extra deck spots. But it is a very powerful interruption to keep utilizing as well. And because you are able to, still use Elf, it's not banned yet. You have SPRIND now as an additional extender. You can get a lot of materials on board, which enables you to set up multiple interruptions. You can set up the Melffys, you can set up the Reds and the Carrots, you can set up, obviously extending through Melffys, you can set up the IP. A lot of things you can set up there, and continuing on from that, you still play hand traps, Ash, Maxi, Imperm, and now the Bystial. So very, very powerful stuff. The 2 blue, the 3 jet, you can play 2 red and carrots, or you can cut these down to 1 each. Totally up to you. This ratio is kind of variable. I like playing the 2 just because it's a Spright deck still at its heart, and I like having a little bit of extra Spright engine in there just in case, but totally up to you. Moving on to the Bystial package, obviously Magnamut and Druid's Room is at 1, so we play 1 of these each. These are very powerful because obviously any light or dark deck that you go up against, especially Tearlaments, they straight up counter those. And even if you aren't playing against a light and dark deck, like say you're going up against Floandereeze or something, you still have blue and jet in your own deck that you can banish to bring these out during your opponent's turn if they control a monster, or even just during your turn for your own extension. Now, of course, the Bystials are also dark monsters themselves and light monsters in terms of Lubellion, so you can banish these cards in and of themselves in order to bring your Bystials out as well. So, Magnamut, banish a Baldric in the graveyard, and then get special summoned, and then you get the effect to search during end phase. So, very powerful stuff. Obviously, the Bystials have additional effects as well. When this is sent from the field to the graveyard, target 1 special summon monster the opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. So, non-destruction, but is targeting send. And then the Baldric is a banish, I believe. You contribute 1 other light or dark monster, then target 1 of those special summon monsters, banish it when your opponent special summons kind of like a special monster, Ritual Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link. So pretty self-explanatory stuff there. The Lubellion is also a free search, so because Magnamut and Druid's Room is at 1, you can probably even play 3 of these. These just search out the other Bystial monsters that you want. Now, of course, you can play like the Regained and the Beast in this as well, but this is more of a lean package where you're still opting to play like Double Cross, even though you're not playing the Floodgate, Testudo. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I'm just going to call it that for whatever reason. But you can clean this list up a little bit. You can cut like the Gamma, you can cut the Double Cross if you really wanted, put in some extra Bystial cards, but then you're kind of just changing the deck entirely. So with that being said, let's move on to the next one here, and we're going to be taking a look at Bystial. Well, maybe I'll go to the Synchro one first. So this is not a standard list by any means. This is quite unique. But because Assault Synchron is level 2, as well as this Blackwing, we don't have this in the TCG, but this is in the OCG, Sharnga, and the Shinobi Necro are also a level 2. There are a number of different level 2 monsters you can utilize in this engine. As well as this random thing, Allvain is a tuner. You can bring it out with Ready Fusion. And this package, these level 2 tuner monsters, if you're not locked under level 2s with Starter and with Gigantic, you can bring out very powerful level 8 synchros and very powerful level 10 synchros. How? Well, again, utilizing the Bystial engine and or Cupid pitch. So basically the core of this deck is like, let's say you use Assault Synchron and Spright card, you go into Cupid pitch. I believe you make this level 6, and then if you have another synchro monster, you can oh yeah, this is a tuner, sorry. So if you have another level 2 monster, even, you can use the Cupid pitch and that other level 2 and make a synchro 8. And then, you know, if you make like Excel Stardust, you bring back a level 2 tuner, so the tuner you used originally, and then you make a synchro 10. So very powerful stuff overall, and you can continue to synchro climb. In addition to that, you know, you get a Bystial on board. Let's say you discard Lubellion, bring out a Bystial, put it on board. You tribute off that Bystial to bring back the Lubellion, and then you have, you know, like an Assault Synchron special summon. This plus a Bystial Lubellion is a level 10 synchro. That's a Baron or a Chen Yang. If you just keep the Bystial on field, you have a synchro monster that's 6 and 2, which is a level 8. So again, you bring out Excel Synchro, you bring back the level 2 tuner, you go into Baron. With this card as well, you can play the full Armor Master if you want, just for the lulls. It's also, you know, a Towers monster essentially. So very, very powerful stuff. And the ready fusions are just additional extenders. So, you know, if you bring out the level 2 tuner or a level 6 normal monster that can be used as synchro material, a lot of interesting stuff with this version. And of course, you do play the branded package as well. So the Regained and the Beast for additional control options for destruction and drawing cards, which is very, very strong. So this is a unique deck that you can play if you did want to play a larger Bystial package, you know, with the Sorneers and additional Baldrakes. This is something you could look at. It is expensive, obviously, with a lot of ultra rares, since you are committing to like Assault Synchrons, the Lubellions, Chaos Ruler, you know, Excel Synchro, Baron, etc. But it is an interesting, fun deck to play. So moving on to the final version, the version that I am preferring to play right now is the Floodgate version with the Testudo. Now this, at higher levels, probably won't catch a lot of higher level players off guard. So the Bystials would probably be the better route. But right now this version is still very strong, and you know, we're keeping DD Crows in there because again, this card conflicts with the Bystials a little bit, and we're also keeping the triple tactics, which I'm a big fan of ever since I started using this. Just having the versatility to Pot of Greed, Change of Heart, or Forceful Sentry your opponent is very, very good. Regardless though, you saw how this deck worked in action a little bit when I was playing with it in that match, and you still want to utilize the Melffy engine in this version. So again, committing those extra deck spots to the Melffy card is very useful. But Spright just got a lot better just because of SPRIND and Double Cross. It enables a lot of different plays, a lot of nice additional extensions, as you can see, and puts up a very powerful board. This is something that will be a force in the metagame for sure, and different variations of Spright will continue to pop up. Keep in mind, you can still play versions like Runic Spright, which I haven't updated in a very long time, but Runic Spright is still a thing, Evil Twin Spright, For a Hire Spright, Tri-Brigade Spright. Like, this is how versatile Spright is. So these cards, very fun to play with. I actually just started building this deck in real life. Just as soon as the ban list dropped, I was able to pick up the blues before they spiked in price, so I was really lucky. But I'm excited to try this deck out in real life as well. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video, guys. Hopefully it was helpful. A like on the video would be appreciated, and if you want to see more Spright content, make sure you comment below and let me know, because I mainly make Flowandrees content, but I am very happy to also continue to make Spright content as well. That's going to wrap it up though. Thank you for watching. Quantum is out.